Hi, I'm Max.
Hi, and I'm Denise.
And welcome back to another edition of Urban Lifestyles. As always, we've got a great show.
I think so, because I'm in it.
Well, this is true, which makes it on par. Some of the things we're going to be talking about today is the National Safety Month as it relates to LG&E. We also did a piece with MSD talking about the caving in of the sewer that was downtown, which was very interesting. And also, we've been talking about bikes, and some things that you can do to get out to be a little healthier. And also, last but not least, we're going to talk about the Derby City Jazz Festival and other festivals that are going to be happening around. So we'll take a quick break and back with more right after this.
Father's Day, recognize that important man in your life with the latest in fashions from GQ Unlimited at 8th and Broadway and Indian Trail Plaza. Slim cut suits by Sean John, Michael Kors, Calvin Klein, and more. Shoes by Stacey Adams and a Dobbs or Stetson hat. Jazz festivals, concerts, formals, or just a night out on the town. When image matters, it's GQ for Stacey Adams, Dobbs, and anything else to complete your look. Stop in to register for a pair of tickets to the Derby City Jazz Festival. GQ, where the well-dressed man shops and shops and shops.
Well, as always, we are always out in the community and catching up with our partners. And one of our biggest partners, of course, is MSD. We got an opportunity to do something that was, to me, that I thought that was really interesting, to go out to one of the breaks that they were working on to where one of the sewers had collapsed. So take a look at this piece. We're here with another segment with MSD. Of course, we're always talking about safe, clean waterways. I'm here with Ron Henderson, who is an Inspector 3 with MSD. Been with the company for what, almost 25 years, or at least 25 years?
Yes, sir. Originally employed 94. I spent 3 years with a consultant engineering firm before I came to MSD.
All right, well, you know, we've got a lot going on. I remember seeing this on the news, and now to actually be out here to see what's happening behind us. Now, you correct me when I go wrong, but the sewer was put in place in 1871, so it's been around well over 100 years. We had a collapse, so what does that mean, and what does it entail to fix this?
Okay, the sewers, like you said, is about 150 years old, put in 1871. It was a 30-inch single ring brick sewer.
All right.
And over the weekend, I think we got a call on Friday evening that someone had witnessed a hole about the size of a basketball in the pavement, and we immediately dispatched a crew out to do sewer investigation. And upon investigating, we found a larger void up under the street, about 25 foot long, 15 foot wide, and 12 foot deep. So we immediately shut the road down and dispatched one of our subcontractors out to begin mobilizing to make sewer repairs.
So when something like this happens, what is the culprit? What is it? Is it just age, or is there multiple factors?
Multiple factors. With an older system like that, 150 years old, it has to work at peak capacity, 24/7. So when we get large rain events like we had back in February and March, it puts an unlimited amount of stress on the sewer, pushing the bricks out. When the water level drops down, then the bricks sometimes fall apart because of age and other factors, water, and sometimes when we have water main breaks, they also cause sewer collapse.
Now, we were talking a little bit earlier before we started this off camera, and you said this could have been a lot worse if it hadn't been for the trolley car tracks that were in place. So tell us a little bit about that, and of course we can see the remnants of the old trolley car back behind us.
Yeah, with the trolley tracks in place, we had a buffer of 2 foot of concrete plus the tracks themselves that bridged traffic. We don't know exactly how long that large void was under the pavement, but we had buses and trucks and just regular vehicular traffic going over top of that void, and we don't really know how long. And we just thank God that whoever called this in, they really probably saved some people's lives. So we'd like to give a thanks to whoever that person was.
It's good to be on point and definitely being engaged in your city. So when you see something that's wrong, make sure that you make the report to the proper authorities.
Yes, sir.
So when we're looking at this work that's going on, how long is it going to take to repair this, and what's done differently in terms of when it was done in 1871 to the way that we approach it today?
Well, in 1871, I think you had mules and plows out doing all the work that you see the machinery doing. And it probably took them months and years just to get to the point where they could put in a couple of blocks of sewers. What we did in less than 7 days, it probably took them an extended amount of time.
So when we're talking about sewer systems here in Louisville, we have like would it be considered a relatively old sewer system?
Nationwide, most of your metropolitan sewers experiencing the same problem, aged infrastructure.
When someone in their neighborhood sees this thing, when something like this happens in your neighborhood, how does it affect what's happening in my place of business, in my home? What is that customer doing, that residential and business customer doing while this is happening?
Well, when the sewer collapses, it has the potential of backing up flow, and it could possibly enter someone's home or business. Most of the times we try to get to it before it creates a problem, but if you start experiencing problems, sluggish toilets and something to that effect, running water and it's backing up, call MSD, call Public Works, call somebody so we can come out and investigate it, because it may be a larger problem.
Now, we said the sewer that was here has been here almost over 150 years. These new materials, you said they have a life expectancy of over 500 years.
I don't have an exact number, but I think they will outdate me. They'll be here long after I'm gone.
And the materials are a lot lighter, a lot easier for your team to handle.
A lot lighter, a lot more cost effective, and more durable. It'll probably take some outside impact to break this pipe, where normal factors, water, backups could affect this, but the new pipe going in, I'm not going to say it's indestructible, but it's pretty permanent. Yeah.
It was a very interesting piece talking with Ron, finding out what goes on, what it takes to repair something like that. It is a major undertaking.
I thought it was fascinating because of what was underneath with the railroad ties, how old they are. But then when you think about the new material that they're using, how much older, I guess you could say, that's going to last into the future. It's like, wow.
Right. It said it has an expiration date of about 500 years, but I guess we won't be here to validate that.
No, but just seeing from the past, from the railroad ties, and if it had not been for those ties underneath, wow.
Yeah, could have been ugly. We'll take a quick break and back with more right after this.
Southern Indiana's #1 Toyota dealer. Hey folks, just take the Bridge for Savings. We're offering employee prices for everyone who walks through the door. Remember, you pay what we pay. Come see me, Rodney Carter. We're closer than you think. Just take I-65, exit 4, Lewis and Clark Parkway, across from the Green Tree Mall, or visit us on the web at JeffWeilerClarksvilleToyota.com.
So Denise, what is something that we're always looking for?
We are still always looking for those new show ideas.
That's correct. So if you've got a great show idea, be sure to go to our website at www.urbanlifestyles.net, and that's lifestyles with the Z. And if we happen to use your idea, you could win a free oil change from Jeff Weiler Toyota. And of course, if you're in the mood for a new or pre-owned vehicle, go by and see Rodney Carter and tell him that Urban Lifestyle sent you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all you're going to say.
Oh, because I know you're itching over there. I always want a new car.
Of course.
I'm watching you with
yes.
my side eye.
Yeah, that is true. And something else that's coming up next that we're going to be talking about is LG&E. And I bet you didn't know, but June is National Safety Month. So take a look at this piece. Well, it's June and it's time for another Energy Matters segment with LG&E. And this month we're talking about national safety. And I'm here with Liz Pratt, and welcome back to Urban Lifestyle.
Thank you.
All right, so when we're talking about safety and June, how do those two things come together, and what does that mean from LG&E's perspective?
Well, June is the official kickoff to the summer months, but it's also National Safety Month, and here at the company, safety is our top priority. So we wanted to share with viewers a few things that they can do at home, but then also give them a glimpse of some of the things that we do, our crews and our employees, when they're out in the field to ensure their personal safety and the safety of those around them.
And one thing about that is because in the summer we're seeing a lot of the crews that are out in the neighborhoods, and if they're like me that are at home looking, you're always peeping out and you wonder what they're doing. And this will kind of give us somewhat of a peek behind the curtain.
Absolutely. So we have joining us today
All right.
Greg Lindsay, Manager of Electric Technical Training and Public Safety. And we also have Steve Denning, who is Group Leader, Line Construction and Maintenance. So they're going to join us today to talk a little bit more about what viewers may be seeing when they see crews working, but then also the steps that crews take before they start each assignment.
All right, and Liz, don't go anyplace, but I'm going to talk to them and just find a little bit more. So Greg and Steve, welcome to Urban Lifestyle. And Steve, you've been with us before, so I'm going to start with you telling us a little bit about your role and some things that we can expect.
Well, I manage about 75 line techs. We have 2 operation center, this being one. And so every morning our management team, supervisors, get with our crews before they go out in the field to serve our customers for restoration or new business. And they work with our employees to ensure that not only they're following the safety for themselves, but for the customers as well.
And you, Greg?
I'm a manager of electric technical training and public safety. I'm responsible for training all the electric employees in LG&E and also making sure we get out into the community and do safety presentations to let the customers make them aware of different dangers that go along with the utility.
So, Steve, I'm going to come back to you, and I know you've got your truck here with a lot of equipment and things on the back. So let's take a walk over there and just try to get an idea of some of the things that you brought with us and what we should know.
Right. Well, obviously our hard hat here to protect our employees from any obstructions or incidents that may fall down on their head. Okay. Right. So we want to make sure they're safe. These here are rubber gloves, good for 20,000 volts. These particular brands are from Salisbury. Our line technicians and sleeves, as you can see, wear those before they go aloft, whether climbing or in a bucket, anytime they're close or working on energized power lines. So this is a key component for their PPE, personal protective equipment, every day that they use.
So at the end of the day, safety is of the utmost importance.
Absolutely. It's the highest skill set we value is the safety of our employees and for our customers as well.
Now, does any special training or anything come along with your individuals before they, I know you just don't hand them this equipment and say go out. I'm sure there's some training that's a part of that.
There is a regular program. Greg is a part of that.
All right, so Greg, tell us about the program.
There's a 3-year apprenticeship, line tech apprenticeship. So employees actually go through classroom work, and then they actually ride on the trucks for a 3-year period to learn everything about the utility, and then they learn how to inspect it. As Steve was talking, these gloves are inspected before each use, and they're inspected. They go through our dielectric testing lab every 3 months, and they get checked for cracks or anything that might penetrate them, and then and if there's something bad, we'll pull them off. Like Steve said, these gloves are rated up to 20,000 volts. If you see them, this side's yellow and then this side's black. Well, if you stretch that out, you'll see the yellow through the black. Each side is tested for it can take 20,000 volts, but if one side is damaged, then we throw it out and get a new set, or get the line tech a new set.
All right, so in terms of the guys that are out in the community, I'm sure females as well, what are some of the things that the general public should know when they see them out in your neighborhood?
Well, one of the things, we want to make sure that our vehicles are protected from the public, that we have our cones, safety signs out, trucks are chalked, and ensure that it's a visual, both whether it's daylight or night, that the public sees that. So it's one of the first things we do when we set up on a street, whether it's a neighborhood or a busy road. And we may use flaggers as well, depending on what the option may call. Second thing, the crew will gather together and go over the particular scope of work, because that could have changed when they left in the morning once they review what's going on that particular site. And they will go over a tailboard or a job briefing that we call on every job that happens with all the employees there. Similar to this group here, as we're standing around to ensure everybody clearly understands what the task at hand is.
And one thing that the general public should know is that if you see LG&E out in your neighborhood, they're going to be properly marked with LG&E logo wear, so you know that it is reputable and it's LG&E.
That is correct, as well as with a company ID badge, right? All of our employees and contractors are required to have those, and we encourage the public to ask for those if they have any doubt whatsoever.
Well, guys, thanks for spending some time with us. I'm going to go back over here to Liz. So, Liz, we've looked at it from LG&E's perspective. Now let's talk about the consumer, that homeowner. Let's talk about me, because at the end of the day, that's what the consumer wants to know about and some things that they can do to be safe.
Well, much like what Greg and Steve were sharing, for viewers at home, always be mindful and aware of your surroundings. In particular, make sure you're aware of how close you are to any power lines. Always avoid and stay away from any downed power lines or damaged electric equipment. But, first and foremost, be aware of your surroundings. If you're going to be performing work out in your yard, do it during daylight hours so that way you can see any potential hazardous conditions or unsafe things that may be in your way. So, we want viewers to remain safe if they are near working near electric power lines. That includes do not climb trees, do not put ladders up in trees that are near power lines. If you do see a tree limb that may be close to a power line, contact us and we want to come out and look at it.
And some other things that I noticed on your tip sheet that you gave me, your tip sheet, my cheat sheet, is that if you're carrying a ladder around through the yard, don't carry it vertical, carry it parallel to make sure that you don't hit any power lines or anything like that. So really what you offer is just a lot of common sense information.
Absolutely, and some tips to be aware if you are working near power lines, but be aware of your surroundings and perform any work during daytime hours. We do offer more tips and more information about electric safety and a variety of things that you can do at home if you visit lge-ku.com/safety.
All right, you took my next line, which was how could you find out more information? So you've already given us that. So what are some other things that LG&E is working on that we should be aware of?
Well, we have lots of projects going on. We're continually investing in our system to ensure we're delivering customers safe, reliable service. And we're also performing projects that are hardening our system. So these are things that we're doing year round, but you also will see crews out in your neighborhood from time to time doing everything from maintenance work to making repairs in the event we experience a storm.
So, going out there and talking with LG&E, Liz, and a lot of the other people on the crew, it was just, it's eye-opening because being the residential consumer, a lot of times we see something wrong and we think we can fix it, but we really shouldn't even touch it, correct?
You think you're one of those type of things but I love these segments because I call them the Did You Know segments. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of things we don't know that really is incumbent upon our safety. So.
Right. And LG&E is through our community all the time, and especially during the summer, you're going to see those people everywhere because they're doing great work to keep us safe. So heed their warnings. If you've got some questions, be sure to go to LG&E's website. We'll take a quick break and back with more right after this.
Magic 101.3, Kentuckiana's #1 station for R&B.
Can we swim a lake by the ocean?
Magic 101.3.
Give me that green light. With your permission.
We're live, local, and Louisville. Magic 101.3, the home of Steve Harvey and Morning Show. We are.
So, we started back in the spring getting people ready to ride bicycles, and we're saying that's something that's becoming the new cool thing to do, and people in our age group are definitely getting out and riding more and more. And one thing that you've got to be careful about if you're out on a bike is if you have a flat tire.
Oh, yes. That's very challenging. It will mess up the whole ride, and then it's like, well, what do you do?
Right. So hopefully this particular segment with Ross will give you some information. Take a look.
So we're back at Middletown Cycling, and this is Ross, the owner here at Middletown, and welcome back, Ross.
Thank you very much for having me.
So we're doing our third installment. We've been talking about biking, and Max bikes more than I do, but I'm always interested in safety features and accoutrements for my bike. So today I want to cover about these different types of lights on here, and I know that's something that Max is interested in. It's a little bike computer. So tell us about the lights here on the bike.
The lights right now, especially with distracted driving and things like that, even during the day, are incredibly important. The most important, because you're supposed to follow the traffic laws, ride with traffic, is your tail light. A nice, very bright, blinky tail light will help other
so you
drivers
hold this up a little higher?
people see you. And we actually, when somebody buys a bike from us, we give them 10% off on the accessories and help them get set up. But a front light's important too, especially if you're at dusk. Just be as visible to cars as you possibly can, because you come up against a car when you're on a bicycle, you're certainly not going to win.
With all these different types of lights, is there an advantage over some than others?
With different lights, the tail lights are all pretty similar. I'll tell you, the biggest thing that's changed in the last couple of years now, a lot of them are rechargeable, so you can plug them into a USB cord, and that's really cool, so you don't have to keep batteries and buy batteries. Now, if you want to get some of the more powerful headlights, there's actually headlights that are 1,000 lumens, so you could actually go riding in a dark woods at night with a headlight. So, I mean, it really depends. For the kind of riding you're doing, it's more just a visibility aid and a, you want cars to see you while you're on the road, and you're probably not going to be riding out real late at night. But, you can get some really nice front and rear tail lights for about $30 to $50, depending on what you want, and they'll definitely make you very visible. Another thing that a lot of riders will get would be a cycling computer. See how far, how fast you've gone, and Depending on what your needs are and what you're kind of training for, they range, incredibly. So something like this is something that most people would start out with. They're around $50, and it's wireless. You can have wires all going over your computer. It'll tell you how far you've gone, how fast you're going, keep a total odometer. Also, maybe tell your calories if you put your weight in. So some people like to keep track of that kind of stuff.
In the event that thing happens that everybody hates, it is you have a flat tire. Back last summer we were out riding. It was about 6 of us had a flat tire, and it took forever and a day to actually get it changed, and at the end of the day we didn't get it changed. Another rider came by and actually came to our assistance because we would still be on the side of the road now, either calling for our wives. So changing a tire, I remember back in the day when I used to have that little metal can with the patches in it. You would scrape the tire, take the match, burn it, and then put the glue on it.
The good glue is illegal now.
Yeah, but that's another segment for another day. But that tire I knew how to change. I was very comfortable. The tools today and just getting a tire off is a little bit more intimidating to me. So how do we make it easier?
Basically the same, but I want to show you the rear wheel, and if you're actually out on the trail and you had a flat, you wouldn't have the stand, so you would probably just set the bike upside down. The first thing that you need to do is, especially when you're doing the back, is shift the bike into the littlest gear clog right there.
Oh, okay.
Most bikes will have some sort of brake release. This particular bike, you release the brake right here, and that way the wheel can come off.
Okay, one quick question. What's the rationale for shifting it down to the lowest gear?
When it comes out, if it'll just fall right out, and if the chain's up here when you're putting it back on, it just gets kind of awkward. So it's kind of saving you time later when you're putting the wheel back on, so the chain will just go right on there. Okay. It's not the end of the world if you don't, but just makes it a lot easier if you remember to do that. So this is the part everybody's scared of, and I'm gonna make it look easy, I hope. You do the nice bikes, if you bought at a bike shop, are going to have what's called a quick release. So it's just a matter of loosening that, and the wheel actually just kind of falls right out, like so. So, no big deal. A lot of people are really scared of that rear wheel. It's nothing to be scared of. Just take it out like so. Now, in your flat repair kit, you should carry some sort of, it's like a mini crowbar for tires. This is called a tire lever. There's a bunch of different kinds. This is a kind of our favorite here. It's called by Crank Brothers. And then the first thing you need to do is break the bead of the tire. So you put it down and pull it.
Now, in the bike kit that I have, it's got a lot of smaller tools that are like that. So what's the advantages of one over the other?
This tool is, I'd say, almost like a professional tool for one, but a lot of times, especially with the road bike, like you have the bead is very tight. This bead is not tight, but if it's really tight, those smaller tools are made where you could put one in here and then lock it into the spokes and come up so you can get more pressure on it. On the road, it seems like everything, it might even take you 10 to 20 minutes on the road. It just seems like everything that could possibly go wrong when you got your bike upside down happens. But actually here in the store, we'll change these in like 5 to 10 minutes typically. So it's, we do it all day, every day. So it's a little different, but once you get your bead on, now once you get to kind of this part,
right,
that's going to be where oftentimes it requires
a tool
or, a fair amount of hand strength. I think I'm going to be able to get this with my hands, but if you didn't have a little bit of hand strength, you might actually, like this tool that I have here has a part, if you put this part on it like that, you can pull the bead on. So when you're airing up the tire too, when you put a new tube in, unless you have one of those one-shot CO2 deals.
Now, are there any advantages or disadvantages to using those CO2 deals?
Well, the advantage is it's smaller and it's not as, it's a lot more sleek. You don't have this big thing on your bike, but the disadvantage is it's a one-time use.
Okay.
So if you have a little hand pump, now I'm doing it with the floor pump, but one thing you always want to do when you are pumping the tire up after you put a new tire or a new tube in is watch the bead, because if at any point that tube had gotten in between this tire and the rim, it will blow up, and it sounds kind of like a shotgun's going off. So it's pretty exciting, make everybody jump around. But I got a little bit of air in there, pump it up to whatever the recommended PSI on the side of the tire.
Is there an average for tires mostly?
For the road bike with the drop handlebars like you have, typically people do 100 to 120 pounds. On more of a hybrid style like this, probably about 80 to 60. And then with the mountain bikes, you'll be at like 40 pounds. But once you get that set up, looks like our bead's okay. Looks uniform, so I guess I did it the right way.
Yeah. So you'd be good to go.
Be good to go.
You know, some very interesting information. You know, changing a tire, as we said in the piece, it's not like it used to be in the old days. It's a lot more of an art form to it and takes a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, it's something that everybody needs to know if you're going to be out there on a bike.
So I'm just wondering, because this happens, quite frequently with the popularity of bike riding, will there ever be anything like we have AAA for our car tires? Will there be anything to help change bicycle tires? I mean, because some people may not even want to deal with it.
Right,
I know it's far-fetched.
Not far-fetched, but that's probably something that someone is probably thinking about, and definitely now because you've planted that seed. So Denise, what's coming up on August 10th and 11th?
It's going to be the Derby City Jazz Festival.
And we've got an exciting artist that you definitely want to see, and we're going to play a little bit from her. Her name is Nick West, one of the most fabulous female bassists that's out there in the country, and also a vocalist.
Yeah, tell me some facts that I did not know about this particular artist, Nick West.
Well, one thing is that Fender, I said she's a bass player, and Fender has also created a bass for her, specifically for her, because she's just that bad, and she'll be at the Derby City Jazz Festival. Also, while we are looking at her, we're going to roll some of the other jazz festivals that are going to be coming up later.
Some of the experience that she's gotten with the artists that she's played with before.
Right, she's played with Prince and a lot of other artists as well. So again, a lot's coming on, a lot of other jazz festivals that are coming, so jazz is back.
Yes, it is.
And speaking of festivals coming up, there are a lot of them that are coming up after hours. And August the 31st is going to be the Lake Arbor Jazz Festival Summer Cruise on the Potomac in Washington, D.C. They've got Lori Williams, who we had here in Unit 3D. On September 1st and 2nd, it's the 10th annual Greater Charleston Low Country Jazz Festival with Avery Sunshine and David Benoit. On September the 1st, it's the third annual Gulf Coast Summer Fest, and it's in Pensacola, Florida, and they've got Brian Simpson and Boney James and Everett Harp. And on September the 7th and 9th in Dauphin County Jazz and Wine Festival in Pennsylvania, they've got Bobby Brown, Nick Coleon, and Jakeem Joyner. And then on September the 8th, it's the third annual Oxnard Jazz Festival, and of course in California with Confunction and Mindy Abair and Peter Escobar and a lot more. So, I'm sorry, not Peter Escobar, that's Pete Escovedo. And talking about also ending up on the bikes, we're going to be riding on Saturday mornings. We ride from the Louisville Boat Club, which is right down where? On River Road.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to join us, we're meeting on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. The more, the merrier.
All right.
So you know what? I think that's our show.
And that's our time.
And we'll see you back here next time on Urban Lifestyles. Bye-bye.